Well, good morning, YouTube, and welcome back to Everything RV with Dave. I finished my trip. We went to Texas by the way of Atlanta and Biloxi, Mississippi, and we had a wonderful time, over 4,000 miles. But we came home, and I've got a couple little projects I want to do. And the first one is installing some kind of a shutoff valve on my RV. Yeah, right inside my door where my water pump is, I have this line right here, which is the feed off of the water pump. It's hard to see, but what's happening is my water pump has a bad check valve in it, and it's leaking just slightly. And that slight leak causes it, when I'm hooked up to city water, to fill up my freshwater tank because it's leaking past my pump. So I went and bought a little valve. It's a little brass valve. It's a little 1/2-inch valve. And I'm going to cut that line and install this valve so that when I'm hooked up to city water, I can shut it off and therefore stop the water from going past the pump and filling up my freshwater tank. It also gives me the ability to, if I wanted to work on the pump, I could shut the water supply off, go ahead and work on the pump and just use the city water. So it's not a bad idea to do. Eventually I'm going to have to replace that pump. What I'm going to do is replace that pump with a new pump and go ahead and tear that pump apart. And I know there's a little check valve in there, either replace the check valve or clean it up, and that way I've got a spare pump. Here's a little tip. I've got a hot water, and I put the braided tubing down in the hot water. And I put it in the hot water because the tubing is a little bit larger than regular 1/2-inch PEX. And that clamp is very difficult to get over top of the tubing. But if you put it in hot water and heat it up a little bit, the clamp slides on much easier. So that's a little tip for when you're working with this braided tubing, when you're trying to use a PEX connecting clamp. And that's all there is to this little project. I went ahead and put the valve in. Right now you see I've got it closed. And I can very easily come in here and open it up. And I do that if I have to run the water pump. And then after I've run the water pump and I want to run city water, I just shut it off. And it's a good disconnect from the water pump itself. If you're ever going to do any work down here on the water pump, you can be hooked up to city water and still be able to work on the pump. Now my next project, and I'm waiting for the parts to come in, is I'm going to fix this edge of my roof. Now, my roof's in pretty decent shape. I just got up there and washed it off the other day. And when I was traveling, this plastic piece that hides all the screws, it split, and I ordered that, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And I've been trying to decide what I wanted to do with this. Now, I can go ahead and dig all this old caulking out and go ahead and die core it, and then every few years have to do it again. But I want to do something a little bit better. This stuff right here, it's not that expensive, but it's something you have to do every few years. This trim molding plastic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Eternal Bond, and I'm going to run it down into the channel, up over top of this plastic piece, and on up over the roof, and that way encapsulating this whole area so that I really won't have to replace this anymore. And if I ever did, I could bring an X-Acto knife in and just cut right along here and here, and then take the Eternal Bond tape off with this covering and put new in, and then put another piece of Eternal Bond tape on. Now, I have had some experience with Eternal Bond. Okay, I'm up on my roof, And as you can see, I just cleaned it, and it's still in pretty decent shape. Now, about 3 years ago, I had a small hole right over there, and I went ahead and used some Eternobond. And back here, I had a Wi-Fi extender, which the plastic broke, and it was allowing water to come down inside the RV. So I just took the whole unit off because I didn't use it, and I put this Eternobond tape on. And this has been on for about 3 years. And it's still pliable. I mean, there's no sign of any wear. So if I can get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, who knows? I know that Eternobond says it's got a 18-year shelf life. If I can keep those edges from splitting and not having to come up and re-caulk, that would make it much, much easier for me. And that Eternobond tape, it's another project I've got to do. Through the flexing of the RV, this skylight has cracked. I put a piece of Eternobond tape on it, and it stopped leaking. But that's my next project after I go ahead and do all of the seams. So stay tuned for that video. So there's a little video on how I installed a shutoff valve on the water supply to the water pump. So if you do enjoy these little videos, please give me a like, and please reach down there in the right-hand corner, hit that subscribe. It really helps my channel, and I will see you on the next video.